Hello, Madison. It is great to be back at the Barrymore Theater and lovely to see all of you. 5 days of watching Republicans nonstop. Is that Pod Save America or a shy, closeted gay delegate at the nightly Hilton orgy? 5 days of watching Republicans nonstop. You get it. All right. But first, let's get into it. What a week. The state of Wisconsin unclenched this weekend as the Republican convention in Milwaukee drew to a close. The highlight of the RNC, to me at least, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice's obese bulldog baby dog, which he brought on stage with him. Everybody gets one problematic it girl. And by God, mine is baby dog, the Republican bulldog. Speaking of slobbering, here's Nikki Haley.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
As a reminder, here's what Nikki Haley said, not in 2016, not after she left his administration, but in February of this year.
They know what a disaster he's been and will continue to be for our party. They're just too afraid to say it out loud. I feel no need to kiss the ring.
Which means that even though she had no need to kiss the ring, she did it anyway because she wanted to do it. That's how much of a ring freak Nikki Haley is. She didn't need to do it. She told us herself she wants to do it. She wants to kiss that ring. Mwah. Like how, it's like her wanting to do it as opposed to needing to do it. It's like how I always set up a truth or dare game in Wisconsin that results in my eating huge amounts of dairy. After promising John and Tommy I wouldn't do that, thereby ruining the van ride back to O'Hare. I didn't need to do it. And I wanted to. Speaking of people you don't want to go to a second location with, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz taunted his nemesis, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, while he was doing a CNN interview on the floor of the RNC.
What night are you speaking? Are you speaking tonight? Or no? Hey, you're not. If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
Gates' girlfriend would have been there to keep him under control, but she's at camp. We also have that moment again, but from the CNN camera.
One who's not coming back, and then the other part that you have, and the other part you have is one person who raised the issue. He's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old.
It's like Rashomon. I want you to know something. I don't understand the reference I just made, but I know it applies to seeing a story from multiple angles. I could not tell you one other thing. I know it also relates to Run, Lola, Run, but maybe not. After the exchange, Wisconsin Republican Derek Van Orden tweeted at Gaetz, "I just saw this. Tubby did not need to be physically held back." Don't like the Tubby. "He pulled a hold me back bro move to look like a tough guy because he is in fact a little bitch." Here's what's fucked up about this. That's the party that's completely united. Compared to Democrats right now, that's what unity looks like. Then on Wednesday, Matt Gaetz gave his speech and even more memorably, debuted a new face. You know what they say, face New York, body LA, haunted mannequin Milwaukee. It's terrible work. You can still tell it's him. My team is always telling me I can't get Botox in the green room before the show. And purely on a logistical level, Boy, were they wrong. The fuck? I'm sorry, but I don't know who did that, but I picture the doctor from Deadwood. like he's coming in with his leather satchel, being like, I just took a bullet out of a cowboy. What do you need? Filler? Let's see. Bite on this stick, Mr. Gaetz. Oh, this bit of ether, and then the injections will begin. Meanwhile, a fake tweet, supposedly by a Grindr exec, called the RNC basically Grindr's Super Bowl. And that post went viral on Twitter, though by all accounts, Grindr was actually poppin', which I've heard. I really don't. There's no way for me to talk about this without you people doing innuendo. Your children. Trump also announced his VP candidate, J.D. Vance, famous for writing a book. I've never heard it said. Vance is famous for writing a book about a hillbilly he killed. I haven't read it. I'm trying to pick up fill in the pieces. I don't know. And then, enjoying the Democratic chaos, the Trump campaign said it wouldn't commit to a date for the vice presidential debate, saying in a statement, we don't know who the Democrat nominee for vice president is going to be, so we can't lock in a date before their convention. To do so would be unfair to Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, Gretchen Whitmer, or whoever Kamala Harris picks as her running aide. Whomever. That's, by the way, don't applaud that. Don't applaud that. That's exactly what's wrong with us. How do we have all the gays and women, and they are mopping the floor with us, bitchy energy-wise? We're getting out-trolled by a cane 100% of, by, and for divorced dads. Step it up, people. Stop doing your little brat dances for 5 seconds and get in the fight. I want you to know something. This is how I know that I've been Wisconsin-filled, that I've been here for long enough, because before I had to think to myself, is the brat brought? Is it brought summer? Speaking of running mates, the Biden campaign on Wednesday tweeted out a newly unearthed audio of J.D. Vance saying this.
I certainly would like abortion to be illegal nationally.
Even more disturbing is the video in which Vance sits on Santa's lap. And then the RNC arrived at its finale. First, we got the Hulk.
Last week, when they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough.
Yeah, I know, boo, sure, but it's fucking cool. That's cool. Anyone who thinks that's not cool, you're lying to yourselves. That's cool. We would kill to have a Hulk. Who's our Hulk? Chapel Roan? It's too soon. It's too soon. It's too soon. I think our Hulk is a book. I think our Hulk Hogan is books. So, Mark Ruffalo, I guess. But more of the kids, it's not the Hulk Mark Ruffalo, it's the kids are all right Mark Ruffalo. Sad dad Mark Ruffalo. They get the fucking Hulk Mark Ruffalo. We get a sensitive lesbian drama. Sucks. I want Hulk Hogan. Why don't we get a Hulk Hogan? We're gonna expand Medicare. Mr. Hogan continued.
Let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania roll again.
Hey man, the last time Trumpomania went wild, we were one locked corridor away from seeing the bottom of Mike Pence's shoes. You know what? you know what? That's pearls before swine, all right? There's been a million fucking jokes about Mike Pence almost getting his ass hung, and that shocked you. Eric Trump spoke, which led to Trump's creation of a new facial expression, which is a face that says, "I wish you were Hulk Hogan." Trump looked so much happier during Dana White and the Hulk Hogan speech than he did during Eric or Don Jr. It's incredible. It's incredible. Then Trump took the stage with his name in lights behind him. That fucking I mean, just what the hell? Eddie Redmayne at the Tonys is less gay. This is like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Trump has always said that his favorite movie is Citizen Kane, and his takeaway from that film is make your name real big. Trump addressed the assassination attempt at the very top of his speech.
There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
Trump went on to say, but not the God you're thinking of. We love Baal, folks, don't we? We love Baal. We're gonna make Baal the most beautiful calf in the world, a solid gold calf for Baal, many are saying. Baal, I believe a Phoenician god, if I remember. If I remember my Diablo 3. think back to my religious studies of Diablo 3. I don't remember where Baal comes between Asmodon and Mephisto. After. Thank you, sir. At one point, Trump also kissed the firefighter's uniform of the man who was killed during the Trump assassination attempt. Don Jr. was reportedly kicking himself for not hiding inside the uniform. I don't know if this is allowed. I don't know. But as predicted by me, Trump did a 20-minute topper on the assassination attempt with a paean to unity and then went right into his usual stump speech about Democrats, the media, and immigrants.
By the way, you know who's taking the jobs that are created? 107% of those jobs are taken by illegal aliens.
You can trust those numbers. Trump at his numbers guy, baby dog, all over it. Maybe it's over 100% because immigrants are taking impossible jobs that do not and cannot exist, like square circle specialist and time-traveling grandpa murderer. Afterwards, RNC chair Michael Whatley said this during his Fox post-mortem.
There's some criticism of the second half of his speech in that it turned rather dark, as if he was looking for retribution when he becomes the president again. Any comment?
Well, the president has been very clear that his retribution is going to be success.
First of all, they've tried this because he said, I will be your retribution, and they realized that must look terribly. It must have numbers that show that people fucking hate that. So he's like, my retribution is your success. His success is retribution. So we should just reverse that on him. In a BET interview released Wednesday, President Biden again insisted he was staying in the race. When asked if there was anything that might make him reevaluate that, he said this.
If there had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem.
Responded Biden's doctors. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say that Biden should withdraw from the race, according to a new poll by AP, sort of proving Biden's point. The economy is now so good, 2/3 of the American people are elites. Could you believe that? That's how hot Joe Biden's running this economy. 2/3 of the economy is just pundits, elites, and wealthy donors. That's incredible. That's an incredible thing Joe Biden's done. I'm getting a boo. All right. Listen. Listen, we're going to get through it, all right? There are fine people on both sides. I accept your boos with as intended. Deserved. Deserved. I'd boo me too. And then boo you. Joe Scarborough on Thursday all but joined the calls for Biden's. Joe Scarborough Joe Scarborough said something. Let's roll it.
It's really incumbent on people that are around Joe Biden to step up at this point and help the president and help the man they love and do the right thing. This is not going to end well if it continues to drag out. Look at the events of yesterday, the events of the last 3 weeks.
Anyway, Joe Biden loves Morning Joe. This would be like if I settled in to watch Hacks and Gene Smart looked straight down the camera and said, "Jon Lovett needs to quit comedy." And I won't, Gene Smart. I will finish the job. Whatever that means. Meanwhile, the chorus calling on Biden to step aside has continued to grow. We're getting more details of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer's private conversations, presumably because the private versions of those conversations weren't working. On Thursday, Montana's... That's why. Why do you think we're hearing about it? On Thursday, Montana Senator Jon Tester joined Vermont Senator Peter Welch in officially calling for Biden to drop out of the race. If President Biden is dropping out, it's news to him. The president said in a statement Friday while recovering from COVID, "I look forward to getting back on the campaign trail next week to continue exposing the threat of Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda while making the case for my own record and the vision I have for America, one where we save our democracy, protect our rights and freedoms, and create opportunity for everyone." But that's sort of how it works, right? He's got to be 100% in until the moment he's not. It's like when you're thinking about breaking up with someone but haven't pulled the trigger yet. It's "I love you so much" right up until it's "we need to talk," or they could beat you to it. Said Biden, "The stakes are high and the choice is clear. Together we will win." You know how sometimes they'll build a fake bus stop outside of a nursing home so if people wander outside, they'll just wait for the bus? No bad ideas in a brainstorm. Couple columns, a little rose garden. Meanwhile, during a campaign speech in North Carolina on Thursday, Vice President Kamala Harris took aim at Trump's new running mate, J.D. Vance, who addressed the RNC the night before.
Frankly, what is very telling is what he did not talk about on that stage. He did not talk about Project 2025, their 900-page blueprint for a second Trump term. He did not talk about it because their plans are extreme and they are divisive.
I like where she's going, but that she didn't change the subject or trail off with a "well" anyway. I'm not sure it's gonna cut it. Vice President Harris continued.
In recent days, they've been trying to portray themselves as the party of unity. But here's the thing. If you claim to stand for unity, you need to do more than just use the word. You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are pushing an agenda that deprives whole groups of Americans of basic freedoms, opportunity, and dignity.
Now land the plane, Madam Vice President. Defensively attack Lester Holt for never mentioning how Trump sucks. I'm almost done. And even as calls for Biden's ouster grows, the Biden administration has continued to roll out progressive policies. In a speech before the NAACP, President Biden called on Congress to cap rent increases at 5% nationwide. It does seem as though Biden has entered the bargaining phase. Though Biden struggled to read the teleprompter and mistakenly announced an even more renter-friendly policy.
The idea that corporate-owned housing is able to raise your rent $300-400 a month or something, under what I'm about to announce, they can't raise it more than $55.
That is the most Veep shit. That is the most Veep, because then it's like, what do we do? Well, now the policy's $55. Okay. No backsies. They said America's renters. $55, okay. This is the thing about our new slot machine style Biden. Sometimes he pays out with badass policies. Other times he vows to defeat Medicare. So there's a little bit of luck to it. Some people think it's about how you jiggle the handle. The president is reportedly on the brink of endorsing major Supreme Court reforms as well, including term limits for the justices and an ethics code with an actual enforcement mechanism. Because you do want to end on a good joke. Speaking of finishing, the New York Times this week asked the question, how did raw dogging transcend its obscene origins, this is the New York Times, to find more mainstream usage over the last few months? The article contains the sentence, you can even raw dog life by being sober. That's the paper of record. The article was a follow-up to last month's smash investigative piece, barebacking why young people may not be referring to horses. But some of them are referring to horses. Now, the piece failed to credit the true popularizer of using raw dogging in this way, Jabuki Young White, who in 2019 tweeted, how are people out here with no therapy, not taking any prescribed or illicit drugs, just raw dogging reality? That's what actually set it off. And I do believe Jabuki deserves credit. But then, the Love It or Leave It writing team did some sleuthing. We can go back even further because the true visionaries first used raw dogging as a non-sexual euphemism in this way, received little to no recognition. A Twitter user named Crappy Fumes in 2015 tweeted, sometimes I ride the subway without a book, headphones, phone, or sunglasses, or as I like to call it, raw dogging New York. That's maybe first to it. That's cool, that's cool. Crappy Fumes, Love It or Leave It salutes you. Sure. And finally, speaking of people who loved raw dogging, comedy legend Bob Newhart died on Thursday at age 94. Bob was born... I love Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart was born just a month before the Wall Street crash of '29, was a witness to everything from World War II to Vietnam to 9/11 to the pandemic. So maybe we'll have better luck without him. But Bob Newhart's cause of death? Stampede at Copa America. It's bad timing. Got as healthy as an ox. I love Bob Newhart. Do you know how good the Bob Newhart comedy specials are? If anybody here know about that? Mind of the Buttoned Up Man or Buttoned Down Man? Buttoned Down Man. The Buttoned Down Mind of Bob Newhart. That's what it's called. Has anybody heard it? Oh, you should do yourself a favor. Check out the 1960s comedy specials of Bob Newhart. I'm cool. I'm a really cool guy. And before we go, it's time for a little, have you seen it? Do you know that Bob Newhart is amazing? Do people understand that he's not just, do people get that? That like Bob Newhart transformed comedy? That he was an accountant who just started doing comedy, like as a second career and transformed it? And that like everybody is still really influenced by those albums? People know that? Okay. All right. Not a fan of his TV work, I'm just kidding. And before we go, it's time for a little segment we're calling America's Least Wanted. This week, we're here in the beautiful Badger State, so we're visiting one of our old nemesis, Wisconsin Republican Senate nominee and fellow Californian, Eric Hovde. Here's a refresher. Hovde is an ultra-rich, Trump-backed California bank owner and real estate developer who put on a cowboy costume and came to Wisconsin in an attempt to unseat two-term Democratic incumbent Senator Tammy Baldwin, friend of the show. He has repeatedly expressed his dislike for single moms, elderly people, and we assume the most beloved members of each of your families as well. Perhaps to smooth over his nasty habit of scapegoating black single mothers for America's problems, Hovde went on a historically black talk show on Juneteenth to show that he gets it. Let's take a look.
Look, I've spent a lot of time in black culture, and as Tori knows, I've spent a lot of time in places like Africa because I have homeless shelters for abandoned kids.
Cannot be overstated for those at home how uncomfortable the people in this video are. Every single one, Eric Hovde included. Good job, Eric. That'll show him. Saying you understand American black culture because you've been to Africa is like me saying I understand women because I traveled through my mother's birth canal. Which she never shuts up about. Women, am I right? I'll hear about this. Hovde spoke at the RNC on Tuesday where he yelled a lot and looked like a main cast member on a new season of the angriest, most hate-filled White Lotus season.
We are blessed to live in the greatest country in human history, America, our home.
That's fucking terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. Imagine being such an uninspiring speaker that you can't even stick the landing of America is the greatest country in human history. Getting tepid applause for that line at the RNC probably puts you on some sort of Heritage Foundation hit list. Biden won Wisconsin by fewer than 21,000 votes in 2020, and statewide races here since have been decided by similarly razor-thin margins. It's likely the Senate race will be no different, and the stakes could not be higher. So get organized, Wisconsin, because this moment demands the leadership, an all-business haircut that only a seasoned Midwestern lesbian like Tammy Baldwin can deliver. Love Tammy. Wipe the floor with this fucking guy. So if you want to send Eric Hovde back to where he belongs, the part of California that's rich but has no celebrities, that's where he's from. Go to votesaveamerica.com/2024 right now to find out how to get involved. And if you were here in Wisconsin, just a reminder, you don't just have November, you have a primary on August 13th. Everybody here know about the primary on August 13th? Everybody making sure that people in their lives vote no on these Republican-backed amendments because they want to use that money for their own fucking shit instead of helping people. You all know that? All right. And that's America's Least Wanted.